we have an interesting interview right now for those of you who spend a lot of money and resources on check fixtures. In many cases, there is actually an alternative to fabricating and storing dozens, or for some company, hundreds of these check fixtures. Because many of them are good for only inspecting one part.
That's right.
And so you've got dozens of these things. So today's new 3D measuring hardware and software can often replace check fixtures. And here to discuss that topic with us today is Luke Yoder of FARO Technologies. Hi, Luke, you with us?
I am. Thank you very much, Dirk and Mike, for having me today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
Well, Luke, actually, just to start off, for those of our viewers who might not know what a check fixture is, why don't you just briefly describe a check fixture?
A check fixture would be a custom fabricated gauge that is designed for an individual specific part that's being manufactured. That gives me a go, no-go indication as to whether the part's good or not. So the part goes on top or inside the check fixture. If it fits in the fixture, it's considered a good part. If it doesn't fit, it's not considered a good part.
Okay, so basically, and these tend to be, or not tend, they usually are custom fabricated fixtures that hold a particular part, or maybe a couple of parts, similar parts within maybe a series of products that a company might make. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah. So if they make dozens of parts, they may have dozens of fixtures or hundreds of fixtures.
Well, since they're dedicated for a specific part, each part would have its own dedicated check fixture, and these can be very expensive. They can be $5,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit. I mean, you guys just did FARO just did a webinar with us. Actually, you were the subject matter expert on that, and you were making the case that check fixtures actually can be a real money pit. That there can be a lot of money, a lot of cost going into check fixtures. Kind of tell us a little bit about where those costs go.
Well, the initial cost is the purchase cost of the check fixture that we just talked about. The maybe $10,000 to $100,000 purchase price of that. Other costs that could be associated with it are retooling costs for the fixture if the part changes throughout its production life cycle. An example would be an automobile. There are many check fixtures that are used to validate parts that are made for a car, sheet metal stampings, interior plastic injection molded parts, for example. So if that part changes, maybe there's a warranty issue associated with the part, or a design change, or maybe they're having an assembly issue, the end user may ask the supplier to make an adjustment. Maybe I need to add one more inspection point, or maybe I need to inspect another detail on the part, and so I have to retool that fixture to be able to get that inspection data or information. So that can be a cost. Annual recertification costs associated with check fixtures. If I'm manufacturing 100 parts and I have 100 different dedicated check fixtures, there's a cost to going out to a third party to have each one of those validated on an annual basis to make sure that the geometries and the details of the check fixture are still correct. And then just the sunk cost at the end of the project or the life cycle of the part production run. And, I get to the end and I have this dedicated check fixture that has no value to me anymore because I'm not making that part.
Yeah, Luke, we just threw a slide up here that I think kind of describes some of that. If our viewers can see it here, on the left-hand side, we've got a check fixture. This was some information you sent us earlier. You're saying here a fixture might run anywhere from $40,000 to $140,000 per part. Storage, I guess, is where it can be very pricey. $1,600 to $5,600 per part per year. So the storage cost can actually be a major portion of dealing with check fixtures, particularly if you have a lot of them.
Yes, exactly. So it has to do with warehouse space, additional facility that needs to be purchased or built to be able to warehouse all the various types of check fixtures that are needed.
Okay.
And in aerospace, for example, there are aircraft that have been maybe out of production for a long period of time, but there's still a repair parts business that's associated with existing aircraft that are being used in service. And so, those manufacturers may not want to throw that check fixture away, because if that part is ever required for a replacement order, MRO, maintenance or repair type activity, they want to be able to go grab that check fixture. Well, that fixture may sit there for a year or 2 years and not get used until an order comes in to make one more piece.
Okay, so what's this alternative to this then? We've kind of established the cause that that check fixtures are pricey, necessary but pricey. So what is an alternative to this?
Well, one of the alternative solutions is what we presented on Tuesday, and that's the FARO Edge Arm, which is a portable three-dimensional measurement device that allows me to utilize software to guide an operator through a measurement process. And I use the FARO Arm to measure geometry, planes, circles, surface profiles, these types of things. The software guides me through that measurement process, and at the end of that process, as an operator, that may be out on the shop floor, I get an inspection report that tells me whether the part is good or bad. So I get that attribute of good or bad, go, no go, but the added benefit is that I get what's called variable data. So I have actual measurement data that tells me how far off hole locations are, how far off their diameters may be, if I have surface profiles, in the circumstance that I'm measuring directly to a 3D CAD file in the software. I get finite numbers that tell me exactly how to make adjustments to my manufacturing process to make good parts.
And why does this replace, I guess I missed the connection there, why does this replace a check fixture? Don't you still need some sort of fixture or custom something in order to measure this part, or is it completely fixtureless?
This can be totally fixtureless. So parts that have the ability to hold their own shape don't need any type of fixture to hold them, and so I can simply put the part down on the table and clamp it and be able to go through and start to measure all the geometry on the part.
Because you don't need any kind of orientation. I mean, that's part of what the software does, right?
The software does all of that. So if there are datums on the part and there's geometric dimension and tolerancing, like true position on holes that are off of these datums, the software takes care of all of those calculations. I don't have to go through a process of putting the part in a specific orientation. I can simply place it on a table, clamp it down, and take the FARO Arm, measure the geometry as I'm being guided through the inspection process via software, and the software will do all those calculations and tell me my acceptance or rejection criteria result.
So it sounds like the root of using, and you're obviously you're with FARO, so you're referring to a FARO Arm, but really pretty much with the right software and the right 3D measurement hardware, whether it's an arm or a scanner, perhaps a tracker, you could get rid of fixtures because you don't have to do all of this orientation and alignment that you normally would with a fixture. Do I have that right?
It is correct, but even beyond that, it gives me the flexibility now to measure many different parts with one system. I don't have to have a dedicated tool or a dedicated fixture for each part. I can use this one flexible, technologically advanced measurement system to be able to do part inspection on many types of parts. And then another added benefit is if that part changes or if there's additional features on that part that we need to measure, we simply go into the inspection software and make an adjustment to that inspection procedure. And so really there's no retooling cost. There's not the disadvantage of that check fixture being sent out to be retooled, during which time I'm not able to produce parts because I don't have a gauge to be able to check them to make sure they're correct. I can simply go in and make some software adjustments to my program. I'm ready to continue measuring.
Okay. Luke, we're running out of time here, but I'm going to go back to my slide here. On the left-hand slide we'd seen earlier, we'd seen the cost of check fixtures. On the right-hand side, we've got compared to a portable CMM solution. I just kind of want to run through these and just real briefly talk about them. I'm not sure if you have the slide in front of you, but it looks like, the portable CMM portion of it, so the hardware portion of it could run you anywhere from 20 grand to 100 grand, depending what kind of technology you're using. But the rest of these costs would be fairly standard no matter what hardware you're using, right? Your modular tooling, anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000. And I'm assuming that's not per part, that's just some sort of modular tooling system that you can adapt to any part?
Right. The comparison that we put together here could be a comparison between buying one dedicated check fixture for a specific part and buying the portable measurement solution for that individual part. And so if you look at it to some degree, the costs are almost a wash, right? You look at $40,000 to $185,000 versus $26,000 to $113,000. You could say, well, those are pretty comparable in cost. But if you look at it to some degree, the costs are almost a wash, right? You look at $40,000 to $185,000 versus $26,000 to $113,000. You could say, well, those are pretty comparable in cost. But if you look at it to some degree, the costs are almost a wash, right? You look at $40,000 to $185,000 versus $26,000 to $113,000. You could say, well, those are pretty comparable in cost. The benefit, though, of the portable device is that it doesn't only just measure that one part, it allows me to measure many other parts. And so I could look at a project for which I'm manufacturing 10 components for a car, let's say, and as opposed to having that that check fixture cost of $42,000 to $100,000 per piece, I'm going to buy one portable measurement solution to be able to measure all of those. So you start to get into a magnification of savings from part to part to part. And that really is one of the key benefits of it. It's not just comparing the price for one part. It's the fact that I can measure as many parts as come through the door with this flexible technology.
Okay. Well, Luke, we're out of time here. Thanks for describing that to us. Comparison between check fixtures and a portable and alternative means of well, actually you get rid of a check fixture. You just have regular modular fixturing and portable CMM and some software. So that was Luke Yoder from FARO Technologies. Luke, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Luke.
Hey, thanks so much for having us, and hopefully our viewers and listeners will visit FARO.com to learn more.
There we will.
Thank you.
And by the way, we will mention below the player, not the live player, but later on we will actually have a link to that webinar, and you can learn a little bit more in depth about alternative to check fixtures.
About this very topic. Yeah,
about this topic,
it was a great webinar that you and Luke co-hosted, that Luke presented. You hosted on behalf of Quality Digest and FARO on Tuesday, on the 24th. Yep. So all of you out there who are watching this again on demand, the link will be just below the player. You can go out to WebEx, you can register for the event, watch it on demand at your leisure, and get a much deeper dive into this very topic. It's really interesting because it is potentially a huge savings. Yep. Depending on what your application may be, it's a huge savings for people that are in this space, and certainly something worth considering. So check that out.